Get ready to get your tail feathers ruffled because today's going to be a spicy one. We have Brandi Glanville, who is actually not suing Andy Cohen or Bravo. And Tom Girardi might be testifying in court today. And surprisingly, i- maybe he might be found not guilty. We'll know by Monday, but let's recap what's gone down in court these last 2 days. Let's dive in. You're listening to No Filter with Zack Peter, your go-to source for all the latest pop culture and reality TV tea, served fresh all week long. Now, let's dive in. What's up, guys? Welcome on in, welcome on in, welcome on in. What's going on? I hope you guys are ready. It is Thursday. We are finally, we got, 1 month left in summer. Whew, what a day. What a time. What a time to be alive. I hope you guys have had a great week thus far. RN Explorer says, "Hey everyone, ready for Zach's messy antics?" Am I gonna get messy today? I get messy every day, you know? So okay. Just a recap and a reminder, everybody, there is a new episode of the Pop Report out right now. And there'll be a new episode on Friday. We're diving into all of the J-Lo divorce filings, the Matthew Perry investigations, and the arrest regarding, all of the Special K stuff and everything that's come out, as many of these people related to Matthew Perry before he tragically passed away in the jacuzzi. They're now all coming out and giving details, including his assistant, who claims that he was giving Matthew Perry up to 8 doses of Special K per day, which is quite a lot. And no, I'm not talking about the Special K cereal. Okay. That said, so go and check out the Pop Report for all the latest Matthew Perry and J-Lo stuff. But let's start with, what are we going to do? Fall starts once pumpkin spice lattes become available at Starbucks. Isn't that happening next week? Next Tuesday, right? The 27th? I only know that because at Orange Theory, they have a PSL workout, and it's supposed to be in connection with the pumpkin spice latte launch. So we're having our own PSL workout. But I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it to that because Tuesdays are tougher for me to work out because that's when we have to be in studio to tape the Pop Report in the morning. So, okay. Let's see. What do we want to start with? Let's start with the Brandi Glanville stuff because I kind of just want to put it out there. This is just my theory. It's funny. I was texting with another podcaster this morning and they were like, "What do you think of all this Brandi stuff? Isn't it so crazy?" And I was like, "Is it? Like, isn't?" They're like, "But the text messages that Andy sent her, it's so inappropriate." I'm like, were they really that shocking? Like, he was like, "Oh, Austin Kroll's hot. You should hook up with him." Or, "Hey, the stage manager seems to be into you. You should hook up with him." Like, I didn't think that that was so egregious. I didn't think that that was like, "Oh my god." Like, they weren't it wasn't that jarring to me. And then the drunk video with Kate Chastain, again, didn't seem that jarring to me. And Brandy was like, "Oh, didn't she talk about bringing her pink dildo?" And then, saying that she would have loved to have joined the threesome because she has a magic pussy. It's just like, come on. Like, really? Like, this is what we're trying to say. Also, it's like you have to like weigh all the details in, right? Because obviously Brandy, the way she described the text messages and then reading the actual text messages, not at like they don't the tone doesn't match what she's trying to say that they were. And then I don't want to get into the whole boss employee argument. I feel like I kind of broke that down a little bit yesterday, but a lot of people are like, well, he was still her superior and she was his subordinate. I mean, listen, sure, if you want to, squint your eyes and tilt your head and look at it that way, sure, yes, technically he was a subordinate. Um, but like, I don't know, or he was her superior and she was his subordinate. But like, I don't know, call me old school, but I'm not often texting my superiors about my magic pussy. Like, that's not something that I would, I'm not like, "Hey, producer, hey, producer David, did I tell you I have a magic dick? And wow, it does wonders." Like, I would love to have a threesome with you, producer David. Like, I wouldn't do, like, that's weird. And that is inappropriate. So like, it was like an inappropriate relationship that went both ways, and it seemed consensual based off of the banter that they had. So That's the part that's a little strange to me. You also have to factor in, like, yes, he was technically a producer on some of the reality shows that she was cast on, which would then make her a contractor, not an employee. There are different protections for employees versus contractors. And on top of that, he was a contractor or she was a contractor of The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, which was produced by Evolution Media. Andy Cohen also happened to be um, an executive producer on The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, but there were many producers and there were many people that had involvements. Andy Cohen is not the one that fired her. And at the time that these text exchanges have happened, he technically wasn't her boss at the time. Because again, she wasn't an employee. She wasn't a salaried employee that worked year round, right? That would be different. Because I saw somebody on Twitter was like, well, if this were a Pizza Hut manager, then, the Pizza Hut manager saying this to the employee, that would be grounds for dismissal. It's like, well, yes, but a Pizza Hut manager also works, I'm assuming full time, if not part time, but works regularly, consistently. And this exchange would have to have happened at the Pizza Hut where the manager and the employee were both working. Andy and Brandi were not working together at the same time. She wasn't on Real Housewives of Beverly Hills at the time that these text messages were going on. Ultimate Girls Trip had already filmed and been done. This was before Ultimate Girls Trip 4. He wasn't a producer on The Traitors. He didn't really have an active role in Ultimate Girls Trip, at least not as much as he did in the earlier seasons of The Real Housewives when he was more involved in the development. But he didn't even host the reunion for Ultimate Girls Trip because there was no reunions. So, it's not as cut and dry as a Pizza Hut manager, right? But no, it was funny because there was another podcaster friend of mine that was texting me and they were just like, but it was still, like, inappropriate, and he's still, like, a big network executive, and I'm like, yeah, but, like, you have to factor in the context and the setting, like, all of those things do matter. Like, it would be different if, let's just say, hypothetically, there was an intern at Watch What Happens Live, and Andy Cohen was banging the intern, and the next thing you know, we find out 6 months later, Andy Cohen put in a referral, and the intern got promoted to some other big position, and HR had no idea about this sexual relationship between Andy Cohen and this intern. Hypothetical, for example, right? That would be different. Or if there was a housewife that, like, had to give, a blowy in exchange to keep her diamond or keep her apple or keep her orange. And it was like, all right, I had to go blow this producer in the closet. And then, you know, was able to keep my job. Like, stuff like that did not happen and stuff like that was not happening. And then people are like, well, why was it's so weird that he was asking her if she had heard anything about his sex life. And it's like, well, but if you read the text exchange, Brandi had shared with Andy that she was in conversation with one of his exes where that ex disclosed details about their personal life together. And Brandi was made aware of like, I'm not often fishing for details about my boss's sex life. So it's not an unfair question for Andy to then respond by being like, "What else have you heard? I'm curious. What else have you heard about my sex life?" LOL. Like, that's not a far stretch. I don't know. My noggin just works a little differently than other people online because I'm just like, it's not a far stretch. He asked, like, you know, like, what's next? Andy Cohen also has Brandi Glanville's book, Drinking and Dating, where she exposes her entire sex life throughout the book. Not to sex shame her, it's a New York Times bestseller. Good for her. But, like, what's next? If him showcasing the book in the Watch What Happens Live clubhouse, is that then going to be considered exploitation because he's exploiting a book about details about her sex life? Like, that's kind of where I'm a little more, huh? Um, RN Explorer drops a super chat and says, "We tell you those messages in your live chat. Okay, maybe not the magical kitty cat." Yeah, that's where I'm a little like, listen, I'm sorry, I'm not texting my superiors about my magical kitty cat. Nor am I saying I got a giant pink dildo. Like, I'm not doing that. Like, that's which to me says that they had a consensual, playful banter, right? Sydney Sweeney says, Zach said it best. Andy did not hook up with so and so or else. Like, what? Yeah. There was no threat of it losing a job. There was no, I mean, to our knowledge, there is not another Bravo employee Evolution employee or contractor of Bravo or Evolution or Shed Media or, any of these other production companies that produce Housewives and Watch What Happens Live and all of that stuff. Like none of Embassy Row, like there's no, like nothing, none of that has come out. Andy Cohen's not slept with anybody. He never grabbed Brandi. He never inappropriately touched Brandi. There are no accusations of any of that. It's things that are like, this made me feel inappropriate after the fact and made me feel inappropriate after the fact, after I continued to engage and talk to him about my magical kitty cat. Like, and she said that she felt pressure to match his freak. And that's why she engaged in these things because she felt pressure from him for what he wasn't her employer at the time. He just wasn't. Like, that's the part that's like kind of, you know, bonkers to me is I'm like, he timing, time, context, setting, all of these things do matter. Oh, but so the point of me bringing this up, but it was funny because I was going back and forth with this podcaster, and I was just like, it's not like he slept with anybody. It's not like anybody had to give any favors to get Vita Tequila featured at the bar. Like, there were no favors exchanged of that nature. He said, hey, hook up with Austin Kroll. I think, you guys would be hot together. Hey, hook up with the stage manager. He has a crush on you. He said, they made the video joke that he sent to Brandi that now she's uncomfortable about. Which she also continued to like. Again, there were no complaints filed. Also, I was going through Brandi Glanville's tweets the other day, and I want to remind everybody there is no lawsuit that has been filed. There is still not a lawsuit. Okay, let's review some of these tweets. Because she started tweeting about this supposed lawsuit, which I think she said like last fall she was considering it because her health was now starting to suffer and she couldn't work and she was losing jobs and yada yada yada. And then she come February of this year, she tweeted out, luckily my lawyers and the FBI guy they hired downloaded everything from my phone from the last 13 years over 6 months ago before everyone started deleting stuff. Okay, so she's had these receipts for if this was in February, count back 6 months, January, December, October, November, October, September. So since September-ish, August, September, October-ish, spring, summer, she had an attorney pull all of this data off her phone. So she's had this since last fall. Still no lawsuit as of August 2024. And then in May, she tweeted, I'm honestly in shock that people don't do their homework. No lawsuit has been won against me over the allegations against Andy. As in, Bravo and Andy did not win a hypothetical lawsuit against or from Brandi Glanville. I've only sent a letter putting them on notice. I haven't even filed my lawsuit yet. This was in May. She said that she had sent them a letter. She had dug up all this information last year. She sent them the letter. Still no lawsuit. Okay, let's keep going. Then we get to July of 2024. So this was last month. She said, I've been left with no choice but to sue Bravo. Now she's saying she's suing Bravo, not Andy Cohen. In her interview with The Sun, she said no, she was suing Andy Cohen for harassment. So she said, I've had no choice but to sue Bravo. I have receipts for days. This stress has ruined my health. I have uncontrollable stress-induced angioedema. I haven't worked for a year and a half, and I'm too depressed to do my podcast and too swollen for Cameo or OF, and I'm being used as a fall guy. Which, by the way, there were also tweets that came out earlier this year where she said that she was finally vindicated because it came out through the investigation that was done through NBC that Brandi made Caroline feel uncomfortable, but she didn't actually harass her in any way. That's what was revealed in court when they were trying to get Caroline Manzo's lawsuit dismissed. They vindicated Brandi, which she then also tweeted out saying that she was vindicated, but nobody cared. So I don't know how, as of July, she's now being used as the fall guy when a couple months ago she was tweeting that she felt vindicated from all of this. Then also in July, she tweeted, I want so desperately to tweet all of my receipts, but my lawyers won't let me. I do appreciate all of your support more than you know. My cast from Morocco has been so amazing and supportive, and I love those gals. So she wants to tweet all of her receipts because her attorneys last year pulled all the receipts from her phone over the last 13 years, but her attorneys are advising her not to release this information. So then tell me why, if your counsel was saying don't release this information publicly, why that information has suddenly leaked publicly. Does that tell you that maybe there's no lawsuit to be filed because the information is not as incriminating as we want it to sound? So our only strategy then becomes to use the press to cause a big ruckus in hopes that the network will eventually pay her to just shut her up at this point. Like, here, we'll give you a settlement if you sign an NDA and just stop running your mouth. Like, we're done. We're over it. Like, you can't talk, but we're just going to pay you to shut up at this point because you're causing a ruckus and it's kind of annoying. And the podcaster that I was tweeting at kept saying, well, like, oh my God, this is such a nightmare for NBC. And I'm like, it's not so much a nightmare as much as it's like a headache. It's an annoyance for the network. It's not a smoking gun, right? It's a lot. It's like Leah McSweeney. What happened with her lawsuit? Like, what's going on there? It's the reality reckoning that never came, that nobody's able to actually prove a case with because they don't have a real case. It would be different if a housewife had to give a blowy to keep her diamond. That would be a smoking gun. That would be like a holy shit. Not only that, but let's talk about the reporter from The Sun that conveniently got all of these leaked text messages and this leaked video and had an exclusive interview with Brandi Glanville, all in the same 24 hours, mind you. But then that reporter is now trying to go and give podcast interviews to talk about what a salacious story this is. I think that reporter was just on Hollywood Raw. And I adore Dax. He's been on this podcast before, but I mean, come on. When a reporter starts to go and give interviews about their story, you're not Ronan Farrow. This is not Brandi Glanville is not Rose McGowan, and Andy Cohen is not Harvey Weinstein. It's very different. Very different. If the smoking gun, like the reason Harvey Weinstein had a trial is because there were allegations, multiple allegations from multiple women that were claiming that he was exchanging favors for jobs. He was abusing his power directly and absolutely. It's very different. Very different than a few cheeky text messages about, like, oh my God, isn't that guy hot? You should hook up with him. Or, hey, you were talking to my ex about my sex life. I actually think maybe you should. Do you know any more information about it? Like, I don't know. Like, maybe I really did fall out of a coconut tree and this is crazy that somebody sent some text messages in jest. Brian says, as an impractical party, let's start a crass action lawsuit against Brandi for her talking about her hot box or for us having to beat this topic to death. That's my thing, is it's like we keep talking about it because she keeps bringing it up. Here's one thing that I'll give to Rachel Leviss. When it came time and statute of limitations was running out, last day to file, she went and she filed her lawsuit and she's standing by it. That's somebody that put her money where her coochie is and is going full, balls to the wall, ready to sue Tom Sandoval and Ariana Mack. That's one thing you have to give about Rachel. She's got audacity. You know, she's she's not giving up. It's one thing you got to give her. She's persistent. Whether it's screwing your man and lying to your face for 7 months or suing you in court, she is persistent. So you got to give her that. Oh, here we go. RN Explorer dropped another super chat and said, angioedema. Angioedema is painless swelling under the skin. It's triggered by an allergy to animal dander, pollen, drugs, venom, food, or medication. Oh, brother. Well, I think she's saying that angioedema can be triggered by stress, and she's been so stressed lately that her face is so swollen and her body's so swollen. And to be fair, she has had a lot of swelling and inflammation in her body. What is causing that swelling and inflammation? I don't know. Like you said, a number of things can be triggering it, from animal dander, pollen, drugs, venom, food, medication. I mean, listen, I know that it's even from I'm my understanding is it could even be triggered by, like, implants, right? If you have implants in your body and they're leaking, because I know that's been a big thing and that's been a big trend of, like, women having their implants removed because it's been having dramatic impacts on their health. That's a possibility as well. I'm just trying to think of, like, what else could be. I mean, yes, obviously she's been really stressed. And listen, stress does take a toll on your body. I'm not going to deny that. Stress takes a toll on it. But there is no lawsuit. I think if anything, she just wants a payout. She wants Bravo, NBC, whoever to just say, hey, we're tired of, you're like a gnat that won't go away. So instead of, you know, having to pull out the bug spray. We're just going to say, here's a little piece of cheese, go catch it and get out of the room because we're done with it, you know? I think she's looking for a payout. She knows she has no case. Otherwise, she wouldn't have released this evidence that her lawyers had been advising her not to release. She wouldn't have given an exclusive interview to The Sun. And The Sun, I mean, come on, they're completely using her. The Sun is not, what was it, the New York Times? The Sun is not the New York Times. This reporter is not Ronan Farrow. Brandi Glanville is not Rose McGowan. And Andy Cohen is not Harvey Weinstein. Let's be very clear about that. So there you go. Not a Zack Pack cyst and diseased to Brandi a cease and desist. I mean, yeah. Audacity or stupidity? Audacity. I mean, sometimes audacity can stem from stupidity, but audacity for sure. Sharon says her face is so swollen due to excessive Botox and bad plus. I mean, I don't know. We don't need to attack her looks, but yeah. RN says, yep, she wants to pay out. That's my theory, is that she clearly doesn't have a lawsuit or she would have filed a lawsuit. They send a letter of intent, which basically says, hey, get ready. We may sue you, but get ready. We may sue you. Like Rachel Leviss wasn't like, hey, Tom Sandoval, get ready. I may sue you. She was just like, boom. And you know what? Ariana too. Boom. She didn't care. She was just like, let's go. She was like, let's go. So you know, you got to give her that. So yeah, but here's the thing. She will never work in television again. Like, we're never going to see Brandi Glanville on TV again. Like, she's done. She's ruined her entire career. Now, it was tough, right? The Ultimate Girls Trip stuff is wild and it did hurt her jobs. But I think here's the thing. She was ultimately vindicated. However, what she did wrong was bite the hand that fed her. She went against NBC and she went against Bravo and she went against Andy. So by the time she was vindicated in court, she had already ruined that relationship with them, you know? I think she should have, I mean, it's hard and I couldn't imagine being in that position, but I think she should have just stayed quiet, wrote it out, let the investigation, bring her to full vindication, hire a good PR team to then go out and be like, look it, she was cleared of this investigation, because people have come back from scandals all the time. They just have to take a beat, lay low, let the cards fall the way that they will. She just, yeah, Tiffany said she got impatient. If you stay loyal to the network, look at Tamra Judge. Well, I mean, she did kind of have a few moments after she got fired where she kind of like was upset about getting fired, but it's like you can win your way back, right? You can come back into good graces with the network. Now she's a liability. I agree, Laura. Now she's completely a liability. Nobody's going to want to work with her. Like, truly, nobody's going to want to work with her. Stacy says, do you think they will still want her on House of Villains? No, she's a complete liability. If she's willing to go against the network like this and like take any minor infraction, like, no, she's a liability for two reasons, right? One, the Caroline Manzo stuff, which she could have fought by saying she was ultimately cleared in the investigation and vindicated in the end. Because now a production company is going to be like, well, if we hire her, does that then mean that, by hiring her, she could potentially put us in jeopardy of being sued if she inappropriately, goes too far with another cast member? That's going to be the first kind of liability red flag that they're going to be concerned with. And then they're going to be concerned with, or is she then going to turn this back onto the network? Is she then going to make allegations or accusations against the network that, prove for her to be a problem? Like, listen, I remember my cousin who, was always telling me she would go to one job and then she would end up leaving and filing like a sexual harassment lawsuit, and then she would go to another job and then end up leaving and then make the same claim there. And I kind of was just like, why do you keep getting sexually harassed at all of these jobs that you come to? And then like, this doesn't look good on your resume. Not saying that you should, enable sexual harassment or anything, but I was just like, leaving a job after a year, less than a year, and having several jobs and then having several complaints that you filed about sexual harassment in all of these different workplace environments, like, this is starting to make you not look hireable. As somebody that used to be in hiring, you have to look at these things and whether or not hiring this individual is going to be a potential liability for the company. And somebody that can't keep a job and somebody that always is filing complaints against their employers doesn't make them very hireable in the future. And it's just like we've also gotten into this culture where every little infraction has now become, you know, a potential lawsuit, which is also just wild to me because it's like it's very different. As I said, sleeping with somebody or coercing someone to sleep with you for a job, to keep a job, to gain a job, whatever. That's one thing. And that's what we believe sexual harassment to be. Now it's any little infraction that makes me uncomfortable. I now feel like a sexual harassment. That's not to say that people don't do inappropriate things, and that's not to say that there shouldn't be, you know, actions taken against the people that do inappropriate things. Like we do need to have a safeguard for sure, but right now we're taking every little thing and everybody has a trigger and everybody's triggers are everybody else's responsibilities and everybody's becoming so litigious and it's just I'm just like, my God, the whole world is going cuckoo for coconuts. We love a comeback. We do love a comeback, and I think Brandi Glanville would have had a chance. Lizette says Brandy's always been her own worst enemy. Unfortunately, I've always listen with the Brandy and Caroline stuff. I was Team Brandy and all of that. All the women that filmed with her were Team Brandy. Like I was very much going hard for Brandy. But this is how you know I'm not blindly loyal to one person, just for the sake of being blindly loyal to them because I like watching them on TV. Brandy's somebody that I've defended in the past, and she's somebody that right now I can't defend based off of her actions. I go situation by situation. I don't have blind loyalty to anyone. Remember when she slapped LVP? That would be considered physical violence. Yeah, Lisa Vanderpump could have filed a lawsuit against Bravo or Evolution Media and said, "Hey, I was assaulted." What Zach worked in HR? No, I didn't work in HR, but um, I was a boss myself at one point, Joe, and that did involve, having to conduct interviews to potentially hire people. But no, I never worked in HR. Could you imagine me working in HR? What did you fall out of a coconut tree? She's going to have a hard time finding work in LA. She's going to have a hard time finding work in general. I think that's why she's hoping they'll pay her out. I so hate the "I was triggered." Everyone throws that out there. I know. But you know what's funny is Brandi Glanville herself, as I was going through her tweets, when Caroline Manzo's accusations were out there against her, she tweeted out something about how, like, your triggers are not my responsibility. Well, Brandi, the same thing could be said about you and your allegations against Andy Cohen. And I'm not saying Andy Cohen's perfect, right? Andy Cohen's inappropriate and he has his moments where he pushes boundaries and dances on the line, but it's also like look at the environment that they're all in, right? They're in housewives world where people are throwing legs and flipping tables and exposing each other and like all of these crazy antics. Like this world is, like, what's next? We're gonna say you have to monitor how hard you tackle somebody in the NFL because, you don't wanna hurt somebody's feelings if you tackle them too hard because 'cause they're gonna feel like now it's personal because there was some sort of, internalized bias against that particular team member. Like, come on, at what point do we, like my gosh. Oh my god, the boss Zach face is hot. What is the boss Zach face? Um Andy Cohen is mostly appropriate other than playing the Twinkie go-go dancer nipples at the gay bar. Yeah, but yes. But that incident happened not on company time, not on the company dime. He was out, on his own free time at a club, you know, rubbing some dude's nipples, and it seemed completely consensual. Andy Cohen is like a bartender taking shots with the staff. Let the mouse go. Who cares? Yeah. It's like the end of the day, he's the bar. Yeah. Or the bar manager, the bar owner, I would say, or even the bar manager, not the owner, because he's not NBC, but he's, an executive. Um, yeah, he'd be like the bar manager taking shots with the bartenders at the end of the night, and they're taking shots and, making some crude jokes that they're all laughing at, and then now after the fact, when you're upset and you want to retaliate because you lost your job, now it's like, well, this one thing that you did 2 years ago, I was uncomfortable with it, and now I feel like it was inappropriate, even though I engaged in it and I was laughing at it, and I continue to engage in this behavior. Now I'm saying, I changed my mind. Never mind. Funny that the Leanne Rimes money stopped and now she's assaulted. Um, did the Leanne Rimes money stop? I thought that stopped a long time ago. I thought her alimony ran out a long time ago. I would like to imagine Zach working in HR. The restraint it must take to be consistently appropriate all day must be fun to watch. No, I would not be fun to watch. I would be done. I'd be like, fuck this. I'm not working in HR. Y'all figure it out. Could you imagine me in HR being like, okay, what happened? What happened? He made a dirty joke in front of me. And I'm like, okay, and what did it do? It made me I was offended by it. Okay, and how did that affect your job? I couldn't do my job anymore because I was triggered and my mental health suffered because I became depressed as a result of this joke. You became depressed as the result of a joke that he made. Like, ignore him. Would you like me to move your desk? Do I need to separate the children? Like, what do like the focus is for you to come in? Like, you're not hired to come in here and be offended. You're hired to come and do your job. You know, let's. Oh man. Wanda says she needs to change her attitude and be humbler to get hired for any team. No, she's done at this point. She's literally done. Like, it's not happening anymore. Zach would have a coconut tree on his tree and just point at it. Yeah. It would be very hard for you to be in HR because people would be coming to report you to you. Oh God. I'd be like, hey, what is it now? Just write a little comment and put it in the comment box over there. I'll read it later. What did I do now? You were offended by my tone in our last meeting. Okay. How can I change what would make you feel the most comfortable? Like, please let me know how I can make you feel the most comfortable you can ever feel in life. Because you know what? That's just what life is, right? Life is just comfort. There's no discomfort in life. You're never going to be offended. We have to protect you. Let me get you a helmet. Let me wrap you in bubble wrap and make sure that you never get offended. You never get, somebody doesn't speak to you in the wrong tone. Gee. Pamela said that would be funny to see Zach as an HR rep. No, it would not. We should do a skit for that. Could you imagine? Okay, let's talk about Tom Girardi. So today is the final day of testimony because as of Monday, the 26th, which is this upcoming Monday, there's no court on Friday. So as of Monday, the 26th, we will be getting to closing arguments in Tom Girardi's criminal trial. So, whew, what a time. What a time, what a time, what a time. Have you guys seen since you're talking about HR, we'll get into Tom Girardi in a second, but I don't know how my algorithm got caught on HR videos, but somehow my TikTok algorithm has all of these like HR videos that people are kind of just like trolling and laughing at because they're like, oh my God, I have to watch this HR video. Let me post about it on TikTok because it's so ridiculous. And then and some of them are so ridiculous because they're so campy. I think the last one I saw, it was like this little man and he was in like a motorized scooter and he was, rolling down the hallway. I don't know if I'm allowed to say rolling, but he was driving. I don't know, driving implies that he was going fast. How can I say this? He was operating his vehicle. He was operating his scooter down the hallway of an office building, and one of his colleagues said, "Whoa, Speedy Gonzalez, slow down there." And then the guy was like, "Listen, man, I told you that's not funny." And then my reaction would have been, "Well, how do you know he identifies as a man? Did you ask him what his pronouns were ahead of time? Do you really think that he appreciates being called man? That sounds pretty, gender conforming, if you ask me." Sorry. I chose to be. Oh, where's my neon light? Oh, it's sorry. The light still exists. It's behind the couch. I took it down temporarily because I had to film TMZ, and they're just like, we don't want any promotional material. So I was like, okay, fine, I'll take it down. Yes, the light still exists. Sorry, I'll have it back. I'll make sure I put it back. I put it back right now, but I can't. Yeah. So you see him rolling. You hating, Laura. That's so inappropriate. Pronouns don't bother, but still, it's hilarious. Propounds. What are propounds? Did you decide if you would go to court on Monday? I don't know. There are some funny old country buffet ones too. Check them out. Yeah, I've been seeing them all, and they are wild because they're so campy. And I'm just like, is somebody really saying, "Hey, Speedy Gonzalez, slow it down"? And also, that's kind of funny, like Chelsea Handler did one. She had I think the LGBTQIA plus $2 sign. They came in and filmed something when Chelsea had her show on Netflix. Remember, she had that talk show and they would do skits, and then they had someone from the LGBT Center. Which, by the way, I think it's offensive that they only call themselves the LGBT Center because now we have the QIA plus $2 sign, and so they need to update their name. Like homeless, not toothless. But anyway, they did a video where they she came in to like train them on how to do, how to make sure you're not offending anybody in the workplace. And it was really funny because it was so ridiculous. Are they putting Tom on the stand today? Thank you, Jen, for keeping us on track. Um we don't know. It's possible. So as of what's today? Thursday. So as of Wednesday afternoon, as at the end of court, once the jury left, the defense said that they had a couple more witnesses that they want to try to not read the live chat because you guys are trolling about HR. They tried to they're saying that they have a couple more witnesses that they want to get through, including potentially Tom Girardi. So they're saying that they may put Tom Girardi on the stand today, Thursday, by the end of court. Uncertain. TBD. I don't I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Is it likely? I don't know. What is the intention of putting Tom Girardi on the stand? To show that he has dementia, but like anybody can be like, I don't remember on the stand. Like you can very easily play up the dementia while you're on the stand. Number one. And number two, even if he does have Alzheimer's and dementia now, which I believe he does now, it doesn't excuse what he did then. That's kind of the issue. So the defense is doing a really good job though of outlining how Christopher Camone, the Girardi Keese CFO, is really the one that I think they showed that he stole potentially like over $50 million. That would be wild, right? Because they're showing that Tom Girardi, yes, was taking money from the firm, but he also put in $80 million of his own money back into the firm. So he was taking money, but he's returned all of the money that he was taking, and it looks and he paid more than what he took. Is the argument that the defense tried to make, which was shown by the IRS special agent in the charts that they displayed in court showing the financials. So it was shown that Tom Girardi, even though he took the money, he put it back. But also that's kind of like, well, if you go into the market and you steal a bottle of Coke, or I don't know, let's say you steal I don't know, you steal a batch of bananas, right? You go into the market, you steal some bananas, and then you leave. And then you're like, oh, okay, I was just borrowing the bananas. And then you put the bananas back into the market, into the grocery store. Like, does that, you know, I don't know. Technically, he broke the law by taking it. But, I think the issue is the clients weren't getting their money. And he technically did embezzle the funds because he took the funds and then was not paying the clients and was aware of it. I don't want to say that he's innocent. But it's interesting because they are making this really good argument about Tom Girardi and him being taken advantage of by the CFO. And at first, when they were saying that that was going to be their argument, Brian says, the old take a million, leave a million approach. Well, here's the thing, though. Well, first of all, the CFO did not return any of the money. And his girlfriend, homegirl came to spill the tea in court. The girlfriend is just, well, she's the ex-girlfriend now. I think they broke up in 2018, 2019. She is like, came ready to torch the place to the floor. And she is putting the CFO on blast. So, like I think I shared with you guys, I don't know if I shared this only on Instagram or I shared this in court, but she said that, or sorry, I shared this on the podcast yesterday, that $20,000, she was getting a monthly allowance of $20,000. And the CFO had it set up to where there was a company that he was paying the money into, and then she was getting the money from that company. But it wasn't until later that she discovered that the money was coming from Girardi Keese. Not only that, but she also revealed that there were multiple companies that Christopher Camone was running that he was sending the money through. essentially, I don't know about you, but to me, I'm not making any accusations, but it kind of sounds like some money laundering, right? Because there was this one Bravo Construction, I think was the name of it, which also what a coinkydink, that it's called Bravo Construction. But so Bravo Construction is one of the companies, and they had who was the guy exactly? His name is Isidro Bravo, and but what was his role in Bravo? Dun, dun, dun. Yeah, I guess he worked at Bravo Construction, but so he testified that Camone would write a bunch of checks to Bravo Construction, and it's funny because they asked in court, the Tom's public defender asked him if Camone ever told him to make fake invoices that Girardi Keese would then pay with checks. And then the guy said, "Oh yeah, many, 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 many." Like he was quite animated. And so apparently there were fake invoices. There was fraudulent schemes that were going on. And the crazy part is, like, even though we're aware that Tom Girardi was aware that clients weren't getting their money, we're also learning, as the ex-girlfriend revealed in court as well, she's saying that Christopher Camone was aware that Tom Girardi was in cognitive decline, and he was aware that Tom Girardi wasn't aware of what he was doing. And she said that at one point she like logged into his computer and she found all of this info, and she was just like shocked at what she found. And then she was asking questions, and then the Camone flipped out on her and got angry at her for asking questions. And then at one point, the girlfriend ends up getting back with Camone and then going with him to the Bahamas because he told her about how he was going to liquidate all of his assets in the US. According to her, he was going to liquidate all of his assets in the US. He was going to move to the Bahamas, and then he was going to change his name. But what he wanted was for her here in the US to keep his money. He's going to be like, I'm going to give you all my money, though. So I'm going to make sure the money is in your name, in your company. That way you have the money. You just keep it safe for me, sweetie. And she's like, what do you think? I fell out of a coconut tree?" She's like, "No, nuh-uh." But she's like, "But I did go with him." I swear she's a smart cookie. She's like, "I went with him to the Bahamas." She's like, because she basically saw that shit was about to go down. And so she said she went with him to the Bahamas so that she can see where he lived, so that when shit went down, she had info. I was like, damn, girl. She was ready. She saw the writing on the wall and she was like, mm-mm, I better be ready. She's like, she came to court with her binder. Not really. That's a joke. That's a Monique Samuels reference. Um, and she also wasn't in court. She called in via Zoom, but it was wild, 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 wild. Wanda says, it does sound like money laundering. Don't know how he will get out of this one. Ayoko says, will the girlfriend be liable to give anything back? I don't know. I don't think so. I mean, it's similar to like what Erika was benefiting and the girlfriend was benefiting. If we're not going after the girlfriend, why are we going after Erika? When also we found out that Tom Girardi put the money back. Tom Girardi put 80 million back into Girardi Keese, which was more than what they showed that he was taking. On top of that, though, Christopher Camone, they're showing, took over 50 million and did not put any of that money back. He was buying properties and he was buying a spot in the Bahamas and he was, doing all this crazy stuff. But it's wild. But so the crazy part is, I mean, will the jury look at this and think Tom Girardi is innocent? I think that that's highly unlikely. Is it within the realm of possibility? Maybe, because the girlfriend is saying that Camone was aware and kind of disclosing that Tom Girardi was not all there, that he was in cognitive decline. However, these allegations and a lot of this stuff goes back well beyond when he first started showing signs of Alzheimer's and dementia. So prior to the cognitive decline, Tom Girardi was dodging clients and Tom Girardi was making excuses, and like there was a lot that was going on. So I don't know if the jury's going to find Tom Girardi not guilty. I think they're absolutely going to find him guilty, because he was the one that had the responsibility. He was the one that was lying to clients. He was the one that was aware that the money was not going to clients. He was the one that was also, you know, taking money when he shouldn't have been taking money and spending money that he shouldn't have been spending. It kind of seems like borrowing, like he was borrowing from the firm to use for himself, and then he was paying it all back. I don't know. But then it's like if you have the money, then why do you need to borrow money from the firm? And like it's just it's all it hurts my head. It really hurts my head. At this age, they will send him to jail or in-house confinement. Probably. He's probably gonna end up having to serve some time. Um, we'll find out on Monday when the verdict is in. Joe says, I wonder if the 80 million he paid back was clean money or if it was from stolen advances he'd steal from recent client wins. I don't know. But again, that would have been discovered in the Girardi Keese books if that was a new money that was coming in and going back out. I don't know where the money was coming from, to be honest with you. Trust me, there are so many questions that I have about that whole system of him returning the money because they proved that, but then the prosecution didn't really want to get into that because obviously that hurts their case. And they're like, it's irrelevant if he gave the money back. It's like, well, but no, but like I actually have questions. It's if he gave the money back, then where was the money going, and why were the clients not getting their money if he technically put the money back? Where's the money? And was it Christopher Camone? Was he really the one stealing? Like, I want to know. I have questions. But the prosecution's like, well, Christopher Camone's going to have his own trial on his own date. Like, we don't need to worry about him right now. Right now, we're worried about Tom. It's like, but Christopher Camone relates to Tom right now, and I have questions. Sharon said, where did you get the money that you paid back from? Yeah, listen, I agree. Where did he get the money from? And how was he, if he had the money and he was putting it back into the law firm, then why was he taking the money from the law firm to begin with? Nobody knows. Zach should start a PR agency called Coconut Tree where he just tells his clients to climb one and throw themselves out of it. No, because then they would all be dumb. Where the heck did it go? Great question, Marianne Stout. I don't know. Where did the money go? Where did it come from? Where did it go? I don't know. I want answers to these questions. But again, the prosecution doesn't want to go down that route. Sharon says it's an infinite loop of no answers. The only one that seems to be giving us some real answers is Camone's girlfriend. What was her name? Nikita? Nicole. Nicole Rakita. So we can call her Nikita, right? We just merge the first name and the last name. Nicole Rokita. Oh, and the other thing too is this guy from Bravo Construction. He was saying that, sorry, he was saying that not only was he having to make fake invoices for Camone to like write these checks, but then he would take the checks and then take cash out from the checks. And when he takes the cash out from the checks, he had to make sure that he never took out more than 9,500, I think it was, because obviously if you withdraw more than 10,000, that notifies the IRS. So it was like a whole system that Camone had in place here. Um, and then the prosecution tried to argue, well, yes, he was technically writing a lot of these checks, and there was a lot of money that was going to all of these companies that were technically owned by Camone, but also some of those companies really did work for Girardi Keese, like the lighting company. The lighting company really did come in and help with the light fixtures. Therefore, that's legit. Too legit to quit. Marianne Stout says, let's get the girlfriend on the pop report. Why are we going to get her on the pop report? Bring her on No Filter. Danny says her as a new Real Housewife. I know. Could you imagine? Jen says he also took out numerous loans against his house. Maybe that's where he was paying them back with. Possibly. I think it was only 2 loans that he took out against the house. I don't think there were numerous loans against the house. But he was taking out loans against the house, against the law firm. Like he was taking out lots of loans. Maybe that's actually interesting. Maybe it was personal loans that he was taking out that he was then using to pay the law firm for the money that he was taking. That's possible too. Where did the money come from? Where did the money go? Where did it go? Where did it come from? Cotton Eye Joe. MC Hammer just entered the chat. Oh. What a time. Okay. I think that's all I have for you. Talked about Brandi. We talked about Tom Girardi. We'll see if he does testify today. I mean, Monday is when this should all be wrapping up. So we'll see what happens. But express yourself. Let me know what you think. Do you think Tom Girardi will get off the hook for this? TBD. 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 Members only tonight. Yes, I'm going to. I mean, it might be an early members only because I do have an event to go to today for Warner Brothers. Andy and I are going. Um, so I'm going to that. That's from 3 to 6. Okay. Um, so I can either do maybe I'll go to the event and then do members only after that when I get back. I may be a little lazy city after the event, but you know, how early we talking home? Well, I'm thinking because after this I have to tape the pop report and then we have to go to this event. So we're either I can either do members only at like 1:30 Pacific today, or I can do it like at 7 tonight after this event. Do we want an early one or a later one? What does the live chat say? Oh, Kat says early. Danny says early. Joe says early. Oh, Michelle says I vote for 7 Pacific. We prefer members only after you've had a few cocktails. Tiffany said tonight. Brian said tonight. I'll be a martini or two in. Marianne said tonight. Wanda says a Liddy City Zach sounds perfect. Aoko says later. Arhan says later. And okay, so everyone was like, we love an early one. And then I was like, I might be a little lit. And then everyone's like, we'll wait for you to get a little lit. Oh, the Real Housewives of OC mid-season trailer is here. Should we watch and react? Let's do that. Okay, let's play it and let's react to this. Can you get lit before one? No, because I have to be sober going to the event. Well, sometimes I like to have a little wine or something. I love day drinking, Kat. I love a good day drink. Listen, when somebody says let's drink, I'm always like, I'm down. Okay, let's watch this mid-season trailer and then we'll wrap today's episode because we're already reaching the 1 hour mark. Okay. Real Housewives Orange County mid-season trailer. Let's go. Oh. Jen and Ryan have happiness and she feels safe. Ooh, and then we get into the FBI stuff. Jen Padranti breaks her silence on, ooh, he could go to prison. Ooh. Jen says, you better stop talking about Ryan being a bookie. And then Tamara Judge says, why? Is he going to put a hit on me? Oof. Still to come this season on The Real Houses of Orange County. Okay, we seem to be going on some vacations. We're cooking. We're laughing. So I guess Shannon's hosting a trip and she told Alexis that she is not invited. Oof, you go, Shannon. London. Oh. Ryan bashed Tamara and Eddie, and Eddie thinks that he's a scumbag. Oh. Oof. It looks like we're getting more drama between Gina and Katie over this Heather Dubrow rumor. Oh, she went ring shopping. Oh, John Jansen's there. John Jansen showed up to film. What? OMG. Oh. Okay. It looks good. It actually looks like a good tail end of the season. I mean, it looks like there's going to be more drama with Shannon and Alexis. But it looks like Tamara's changing her tone away from Shannon and she's like making Jen her new target. I don't know if people feel any better about that because I know people are not happy with Tamara right now. I mean, listen, Tamara's Tamara, and Tamara's always going to bring the heat. So I don't get why people are so shocked that Tamara's bringing the heat. Oh, no, it can't be. He doesn't want the attention. Yep, Johnny J is here to stay. He's back. And he goes to the same party that Shannon was at, and then Shannon runs out of the party, it seems. Oof. I hope he makes a total fool of himself. I mean, has he not been already? Tamara used to be more fun. Um, well, it looks like there's going to be a lot of fun left to come this season. So hopefully we get a lot more of that light and levity. Um, Here's the thing, Tamara and Jen and the Ryan stuff, that's a little more compelling because I don't know if she's necessarily kicking Jen while she's down, whereas it kind of does feel like Shannon's really down right now. So I don't know. Tamara does her job. Yeah, Laura, she does. That she does. You can always rely on Tamara to make things spicy. Dorinda Medley makes it nice, and Tamara Judge makes it spicy. Kat says the same Tamara who tried. Oh, I don't remember the earlier seasons of OC, so I don't know any more Vicky. We didn't see Vicky in the trailer, but we do know that there's that scene that Teddy hosts, like a Traders style something. And Vicky's there because remember she says, "Welcome, housewives," and Vicky. So Teddy is going to be coming up, and so is Vicky still. But Tamara's really going around, and she's like, "Vicky isn't even a friend." She was just on Melissa Gorga's podcast, and she's like, "Vicky isn't even a friend of. She doesn't even have a Clementine. She doesn't even have a cutie. She's just a side bitch." And I was like, "Ooh." Danny says, "I think Bravo rewarded Shannon with Love Hotel because of this season." Yeah, and what she went through, probably. I forgot about Love Hotel. We'll see how that goes. All right. Um, that's all she wrote, guys. That is all she wrote. Okay. Thank you for tuning into No Filter with Zach Peter. That is me. You can catch me here every Monday through Thursday, or if you're a member of the Zack Pack on YouTube or a member of No Filter Plus on Apple Podcasts, well, then you get a bonus episode every week. And that's 5 episodes a week, in addition to the Pop Report. The Pop Report releases new episodes on all podcast platforms every Wednesday and Friday. So you can go check out the Pop Report in addition to No Filter. So that's lots of content that you get all week long. All week long. And then, of course, you can always catch up on Disaster Daters. We just wrapped our 2nd season. The final episode will be uploaded to YouTube maybe today. Screw it. Maybe we'll release it early. I don't know. If not, you'll get it this week for sure. I know we've been releasing them on the weekends, but I feel like, well, let's just, yeah, maybe we'll release this weekend. That way we have some content to put out over the weekend. We'll release it on Saturday like we normally have been. But yeah, if you want to watch all the first, what is it, 11 episodes of Disaster Daters, then definitely be sure to binge them now. They're available on all podcast platforms. They were exclusively available to watch on Spotify, and you can now watch them on YouTube. So there we go. I love you. Marianne Stott says, rewatch Disaster Daters for a laugh. It is a good laugh, and it is funny. Danny says, stay hydrated, boy, with how busy you are. You are everywhere. I try to be. I was just on Court TV talking about the Girardi trial. I was just back on TMZ yesterday. 3rd time doing TMZ in the past like 2 months. So, all right. That's all I got for you. I love you. I appreciate you. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Have a wonderful weekend. If you're not a member, then I'll catch you on Monday. Ciao for now.